Hey everybody, it's Maico here for the Fellowship of Acoustics, or for today, this is for the banjo players out there. This video is a little bit different than usual because it's actually a throwback. 3 years ago we had Greg and Janet Deering visiting the Fellowship of Acoustics, and we've already made a video about Greg telling how to set up a banjo, but we actually shot a lot more that day. And sometimes you just have one of those projects that you just don't get around to it, and this was one of them. But the footage was still quite nice. Greg has told us a lot about clawhammer technique, and that is what this video is about. So he's going to be sitting down with Kylie, telling all about clawhammer technique, how to play it. It's a raw, pretty much unedited video with just the raw audio. And yeah, see for yourself. If you want to learn clawhammer, this might be the chance to learn it from Greg himself.
Anyway, we're going to talk about clawhammer. And clawhammer, part of the reason it has that name is because the way it's played is with the wrist, and it's like you're hammering. Mm-hmm. You're hammering. And it's a little difficult for people to play three-finger picking because you're not using the wrist. And if you try to clawhammer, as soon as you try to do three-finger, you can't do it. Mm. It's all in the wrist, and you're not doing this. Yeah. So, and whether you're an up picker, which is what I do, or a down picker, it's all based on the same rhythm, and it's the rhythm that's the foundation, and it's the bump, diddy, bump, diddy, bump, diddy, bump, and you've got to be able to play that smoothly and evenly without thinking about it, and it's a, but it starts with just a bump, B. And you don't do it like this. You do it with your wrist. Pull up with your wrist, push down with your wrist, and then pull up. You don't reach back and grab it with your thumb. You got to come up. See how my thumb just falls on it? And then you pick up with your wrist. And don't push with your thumb. Pull back up with your thumb. You're still grabbing with your thumb. So I'm basically coming up, and then with my wrist coming back down, and catching it with my thumb on the way down.
Practice it quite slowly to kind of get the...
Yeah, practice slowly and work on this movement. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you start doing this, you can't do this. Yeah. It's mostly in the wrist. Mm-hmm. And these fingers aren't ever going like this. Yeah. They move around a little bit to catch a string, but they're not, they're plunking with the movement of the wrist. Mm-hmm. It isn't so much this as this. I'm doing a little bit of this, but it's mostly this. And when you're first starting out with it, it's awkward. And to give you some encouragement, Todd, the guy that told me that I was a good up picker, was good buddies with Earl Scruggs, and they hung out together a lot, especially in Earl's later years, and they picked together. And Earl told him more than once, when Todd was clawhammer, and he goes, Earl said, referring to clawhammer, he goes, I never could get the hang of that. So the majority of bluegrass three-finger pickers can't clawhammer.
Yeah.
Ralph Stanley could, Jens Kruger can, there's a handful that can, but most of the three-finger guys don't clawhammer.
Yeah.
Because they can't, it's completely different movement.
Yeah. Yeah. The two three-finger banjo lessons that I took are coming back to bite me right now.
And finger-picking guitar players have a hard time clawhammering
Yeah.
Because they can't quit doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one exception to that is our friend that did the artistry of the six-string banjo, Harvey Reid. He can clawhammer a guitar.
Wow.
But he's an unusual picker.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the whole heart of it is bump diddy bump.
So I'm kind of holding it straight, but maybe I need to give it a little more of an angle, like this.
I tend to play it like this. That's better. Here, do this.
It's like knocking on a door.
Yeah.
So I'm going up and down. But you got to get that thumb.
Yeah.
That thumb, watch. I never reach
Okay.
back with my thumb.
Yeah. So this kind of this.
The thumb hits there when I come down, and then I pull it up with my wrist. So anyway, it's the kind of thing that sitting here in these few moments, more than likely you're not going to get your thumb to quit trying to reach back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know that it's not supposed to reach back,
Right.
and you can, and you can sit and
Yeah.
do this on your knee while you're
Sure.
watching a movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you got to get the bump diddy bump diddy bump diddy bump,
Yeah.
and it's how when you practice, when three-finger banjo players have to practice really slow at first, because they got to get that rhythm really smooth.
Yeah.
Same with clawhammer, but
Okay.
it's the bump diddy bump diddy bump.
Yeah.
And you don't need to try to play any special tunes until you get the bump diddy bump
Yeah.
diddy bump.
So that would be the first thing that I could practice, is just if I sat down and kind of get my technique right
Yeah.
with this and just kind of do that over and over until it's
Don't
really
worry about
fluid.
any notes or any tunes until you get the bump diddy bump.
Yeah.
Because if you try to stick the tune on top of the bump diddy bump when you don't have the bump diddy bump,
Yeah.
when you don't have the bump diddy bump, you don't have it. What was it they said about the t-shirt? We should do a t-shirt. If you don't have the bump diddy bump, you don't got it. And when you get to the point where all of a sudden you've got the rhythm, you almost can't play wrong note after
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
But until you got the bump diddy bump, you can't play a right note.
Yeah.
So when I first got this down to where I could really do it well, I have an old 1890s SS Stewart Little Princess, which is a real little short banjo, and I stuffed it full of rags. So the kids were little, and we'd watch TV, and I'd practice. Just sit there, and then I did that for months and months, and then one day I realized I was playing a tune, didn't even know it. But until the bump diddy bump got second nature,
Yeah.
2 tunes are really hard.
Yeah.
But once you got the bump diddy bump, the
Mhm.
tunes are really easy.
Okay. So then it just becomes kind of applying this technique to then
Yeah,
fretting
that
certain.
movement was good. And the only
Yeah, I
difference
don't think
between what I do, being the up picker coming up with this string, is the down pickers go down with that. So they just do a double hit. But it's the same bump diddy bump,
Okay.
same bump
Yeah.
diddy bump.
Interesting. Yeah, the little upstroke makes me feel like I need to come back. So that's interesting.
And it's right here. It's not here.
Yeah.
It's not here. It's right here.
Yeah, that's definitely something to to focus on. It's such a new movement for me. Everything most everything I've ever done besides some fingerstyle guitar has been with a flat pick.
Yeah,
So it's a completely different mindset.
completely different thing.
To the practice room it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doc Watson
Lock me in there.
is an example of a guitar player that clawhammers well.
Okay. Cool.
He clawhammers well.
Yeah. Probably interesting to look and see how his right hand changes and maybe what specific adaptations.
He's also interesting to watch, you know, because he's predominantly a flat picker,
Mhm.
but he plays some songs where he finger picks the
Mhm,
guitar,
mhm.
and when he finger picks, he only does it with a thumb and an index
Yeah.
finger. He
Yeah.
doesn't use 3 fingers,
No. Wow, interesting.
which I didn't know just listening to him. It sounds like he's using 3 fingers.
Yeah.
But if you get a video close up of his hand, he's
Huh.
using 2 fingers.
Okay. Yeah.
But he clawhammers the banjo very well.
Okay. With the same. Yeah. Or with 2 fingers now. Yeah. Well, thank you. That's cool. I've never. This is my first introduction to Clawhammer Banjo.
Well,
I'm kind of inspired.
As
I like
awkward
it.
as it feels for your first introduction, you're doing fine.
Thank you.
It's not something that, if you didn't grow up with it, it's not intuitive, and
Yeah.
you have to learn how to do it. Now, a secret that I learned from Alan Monday, and I've found that a lot of professional musicians do, way back when Alan was still living in LA, I get to see him pretty often, and he told me that he practices sitting in his underwear watching movies on TV. He says, because my hand has to learn how to do it without me thinking about
Yeah.
it. So if you distract yourself and you
Yeah.
let your hands learn how to do it without you
Yeah.
thinking about it, that's where you start to be able to do it
Yeah.
naturally.
Kind of make a foundation for
Yeah.
yourself. Okay. That's cool.
Thank you.
Interesting thing about Clawhammer too is in the United States, there's 2 very distinct cultures in the Clawhammer world. There's the city folks that learn to play, and the country folks that live out in the mountains.
Yeah.
The city folks learn from listening to records. The country folks grew up with it, playing, hearing it at dances, relatives playing it, having the music in their house. And in the mountains, they make no effort to make the banjo quiet,
Yeah.
especially because you're playing with dances. They want to make a lot of noise, keep up with the noise of the dance.
Yeah.
Whereas the city folks learn to play, listen to old records that sound like this.
Yeah.
So they bought their banjo that sound like that. So when we meet somebody from Boston or Northeast that's a Clawhammer player, they muddy up the sound of their banjo, they stuff rags in it, and they
Wow. Yeah.
But when we go to a flea market in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, man, they're banging it out. When resonators came out, people in the mountains play with Clawhammer on banjos with resonators, and
Yeah.
they don't worry about it being loud. They want it to be loud.
Yeah.
But a
Interesting.
city picker would never do that.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's 2 different cultures.
Even still, you can see that. Like, wow.
When we went to Banjo Camp North the first time, they actually had a workshop on how to muddy up the sound of your banjo. And one of the first times we went to the Merle Watson Festival, we were in the vendor's tent, and it started raining cats and dogs. And the Freight Hoppers, an old-timey band, got in out of the rain, and they were sitting right next to us. and it rained for an hour and a half, and they sat there playing the whole time. The freight operas are really good, and I really like them. Particularly like the way that girl, the lead singer, sings. I like her style of singing. So we bought a couple of their CDs, and then when I got to listen to them, I thought, where's the banjo? I could hardly hear the banjo. What happened to the banjo? And their banjo player's really good. Next time we saw him, I went up to him and said, how come you mixed the banjo out of the CD? I could hardly hear the banjo. And he goes, oh, you shouldn't hear very much banjo. I said, no, you should hear more.
Cool. Can I try?
Yes.
Because now I'm intrigued, actually. Because you're placing the.
Get this. Go on.
But you're starting with the up, down, up, and then it's up again, or?
Well, it's kind of up. It's you're doing up like this, and then you're going down, but just as strong, and then the thumb just comes down with the wrist. You're not reaching with the thumb at all. It just comes down with the wrist, and then the action of the wrist.
That's the third one. So it's like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. 1, 2, 3. But no, you did it with your thumb. Do it with your wrist. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so like, so I'm not starting with the up. That does make, because I'm a guitarist, instinctively I would like to start with a down. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why it's more peculiar that you're an up picker, because you said most people do down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go with the thumb. Now, if you're going to do down picking, it's the same 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. But you got 2 downs.
Okay, so we're starting with. No, that's not it.
Yeah, it is.
Something.
Bump, diddy, bump, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 turns into bump, diddy, bump, diddy, bump. So it's a 1, 2, 3, but you have your accents. Bump, diddy.
Yeah, see, exactly. Which is this one.
One of the physical differences between the up and the down is on the up, you're doing an up, down, up, whereas on the down, you're doing a down, down, up.
Yeah.
And so there's a repetitive down, down.
Yeah.
And that's why the up picking can be done a little faster.
Yeah, okay.
But they can both be done pretty fast.
You just showed us. Cool. Nice technique. Going to the practice room as well.
And when you got an open back, it's easy to stuff rags in it. So if you're playing around other people, they don't have to listen to you learning to get the bump diddy bump down.
So that you get a muted sound when you stuff it with a rag or something.
If you learn to play in the cities, you do that on purpose, and you don't ever play loud for anybody. But I only did it when the kids would yell at me if I didn't do it, because they were watching TV.
Cool. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. There's another thing, though, that you guys need to know about open backs and old timing.
Yeah.
When you play bluegrass banjo, you notice that they always have this finger on the head.
Yeah.
Now, if I strum the banjo, no, don't make any noise. Mute your banjo. Hear my, well, I'm hearing all of these play too. if you strum it and stop it, the head keeps moving.
Okay.
And when you put your finger on there, it acts as a sound post and it kills that after vibration.
Yeah.
And it smooths out the sound of the banjo a lot. That's why there's a sound post in the violin. If you'd have all kinds of extra overtones in the violin that would just kill the instrument if that sound post wasn't there. And that finger, when you're playing 3-finger, functions as a sound post. And when you're claw hammering, you don't have that sound post. So if you put any kind of just a little rag that just has even slightest pressure on the head and the inside, it'll function as a sound post.
Okay.
And you'll actually get a little bit more clarity out of the banjo.
Yeah, it's also so that makes it.
But not you don't have to put so much in that it mutes.
Yeah, exactly.
But just any slight little pressure will take away those overtones that get in the way.
Okay, that's a good tip.
I learned that from Jens. Jens is the one that figured out how to explain. You guys know the Kruger brothers?
I'm not familiar. Sorry.
Oh.
I do, yeah.
She's the folk girl.
You should Google Kruger brothers.
Okay.
Jens is probably the top banjo virtuoso on earth.
Okay.
And he plays bluegrass as good or better than anybody else alive. But he plays a lot more than that. And he writes symphonies.
Okay.
And concertos. Huh?
On his banjo.
Yeah. He gets commissioned to write major works. But Jens not only plays at the virtuoso level, but he knows all the physics behind why instruments sound the way they do. And he's been part of our team for 20 years. And he's an intense mentor on doing everything we can to make all of our banjos better.
Okay.
So
quite an inspiration to have around then.
Extremely, and he's German, so he's very demanding. He grew up in Switzerland, but he's German. So every once in a while, when I'm like, can't hardly keep up with Jens, he goes, "Well, you got to understand, Greg, I'm German, and that's just the way it is."
That's a good excuse. I'm going to use that and just
When he was a little boy walking home from school in Switzerland, he walked by a master violin maker's shop, and he would go in there and he made friends with the master, and they would spend hours talking about why this violin sounded this way and this violin sounded this way and how this one was made different and how this one was made different. And this was the shop that had Amandi's and Guarneri's and Stradivari's in it. So he grew up with, every day on the way home from school, learning more and more and more about it. Like one of the things he learned, when you see the pictures of a violin maker holding a violin top and they're tapping it and they're always listening, he goes, those are very false pictures. He says what the violin maker needs to know about the frequency response of that top isn't what he can hear. It's low frequencies that are below the human hearing range. And he taps the top, but what he's looking for are things that he's feeling with his fingers.
Okay.
Because if you take a piece of music and you cut out all the frequencies that are at the very bottom and below our human hearing range, the notes that we can hear become very thin. And a good violin has overtones a full octave below what we can hear.
Oh, really?
A great violin has overtones 2 octaves below what we can hear.
And it works as a way to emphasize the overtones that we can hear? Okay.
When they're there, they make the ones we can hear sound sweeter and better and fuller. Our 2010 tone ring and our Eagle banjo has overtones a full 2 octaves.
That's nice.
And it fills the room differently than our Gibson style tone rings.
Okay.
Not that the Calico ones and all those aren't really good too, but those traditional kind of tone rings barely make an octave below what we can hear. But the Eagle goes 2 octaves below. The Eagle, not only that, but Jens Kruger and his sound man got a hold of some software. This is 15 years ago, where they could model a tone ring in the software and input frequencies, and it would tell you how the piece would react.
Ah.
And in the Gibson style tone ring, which the whole industry uses, you put in a note, it always puts out overtones that are out of harmony with that input note. And it's not the main note that comes out, but it puts out overtones that are out of harmony. So Jens came to me and he said, let's see if we can come up with a tone ring where whatever note we put into it, all the notes that come out of it are in harmony.
In harmony, exactly.
And it took us quite a few years to come up with it, and that's what the Eagle tone ring is.
That's very interesting.
And it makes a very special banjo. And the unique thing about that tone ring is you take a Gibson style tone ring, it's predominantly a 3-finger one.
Okay.
You see very few guys clawhammer on it. It's never been the dominant banjo for Dixieland. Dixieland is Vega, Bacon and Day, Paramount, and then Gibson, as far as who plays Dixieland. But that Eagle tone ring, that 2010 tone ring, is equally good for 3-finger bluegrass, for Dixieland, and clawhammer.
So that's the all-round one.
The first concert we went to where Jens had his first Eagle banjo with that tone ring, he did the first set with his Jens Kruger banjo, which has got the traditional tone ring. And you have this wonderful music coming down from the stage. And then the second set, he played with the Eagle. And you didn't have the sense that the music was coming to you from the stage. You had the sense that it was filling the whole room.
That's beautiful.
It was a different sensation. And they're both good, but they both have their place.
I could listen to you for hours, Greg. Yeah. Nice. Thank you so much for everything already.
You're welcome.
Yeah.